Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Forthy Show. I am your host, Joshua Forsyth, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more on the heavier side of sports. We're going to be talking about mental health and depression that we find in sports and sports entertainment. Saturday, October 10th, is Mental Health Awareness Day, and right off the bat, I'm going to tell you I actually had a completely different video planned for this episode. It's all planned out and ready to go, and I'm sure I'll shoot it soon for you. But this seemed to be the more pressing and more important message that I wanted to send across, and I just hope that in one way or another I would be able to help someone with this video. Whether it be understanding or just giving you the courage to voice what's going on for you, and or even just to be able to give you the understanding if you're not dealing with it yourself. Maybe you start to see that someone around you may be needing some help. So that's where I'm going with this video, and again, thank you guys for watching. So biggest thing I can do right off the bat is kind of give you guys some examples of athletes who deal with it daily. And one of the first examples and most prevalent on my mind right now is actually Corey Hirsch, the former NHL goaltender, former Canadian Olympian, and now he's an analyst in radio for Canucks and things like this. But he's also a public speaker and mental health advocate, and consistently on Twitter you will see him trying to help out and reach out to people. He has always stated that he is open about his battles and will talk with you 100%. And there's just the more and more I thought about this topic, the more I researched athletes and sports entertainers, wrestlers who all deal with this. I kept coming up with examples and more and more and more examples, and it just comes across as something that is so prevalent today that we should definitely be talking about it. Robin Lehner, the goaltender for the Vegas Golden Knights, he just signed a brand new contract with Vegas to stay there, and he credits the time he spent in Long Island with the Islanders and the fans there and everyone that gave him the support that he needed to be able to get himself to a good place, a healthy place. And again, just seeing his interactions on social media, seeing his interviews, he is so upfront and honest and open with his battle and how he can help others. It is unbelievable to watch. Another example I was thinking of too was Ricky Williams, the former running back in the NFL and CFL and NCAA. And I remember a time where, and it stood out to me, as you never saw this, but he would wear the dark tinted visor. You couldn't see him when he'd wear that helmet, and he would do interviews with the helmet on. He wouldn't take it off to go do a camera live interview. And later on he was diagnosed with not only depression but social anxiety disorder. And again, just he talks about the battle that he went through without even realizing what he was fighting. He went for years and years and years not being able to voice what was going on with him to be able to understand why he didn't feel the way he felt he should, and why he didn't have joy. He talks about being a 23-year-old man who was a millionaire, and he was ridiculously unhappy. And I don't know how hard that must feel to not understand what's even going on in your own mind. My battle is completely different, where I can sense myself feeling anxiety right off the bat, and I've been always very aware of all of that. So to not even understand why you're suddenly not confident, or confident in one area but not another, it's a battle that is going to be different for everyone, is going to be scary, and especially if you don't know what's going on, it's terrifying and can be crippling. That certain athletes too, like you talk about Michael Phelps, who through his time in swimming, I don't know if there's ever been a more dominant athlete in any sport than what he did for his entire career in the Olympics. And he talks about every time coming back from the Olympics and being just crippled with depression, and the battles he fought to find some way to feel better, to just what he turned to, and he's openly talked that he turned to drugs. And when you're that dominant at something, and you are continuing to win, it's not even like something got taken away from you or you lost and you're dealing with that. You're still the best in the world, and you're still dealing with depression. It can hit anyone at any time, and it doesn't need a reason or an excuse. It's just incredible to see all these examples of all these people, and being able to reach out to somebody and to talk to somebody and to work through what you're going through, to be able to get answers, to be able to start to understand what your body is doing or your mind is doing. And there's, especially when you bring up someone as mentally strong as Michael Phelps, or another example, especially in women's tennis, with Serena Williams, and just, you don't need to have had a traumatic experience, but at the same point too, it's people have always had this stigma of being weak if you are down, if you are sad, if you are anxious. And when you can look at someone like Michael Phelps, like Serena Williams, like all of these elite athletes that have come out and spoken about their battles, it's very clear that it's not a weakness, it is a sickness. And if you need help, please reach out to somebody. And I'm going to put some links in the video as well, and underneath this video, please reach out to somebody if you need anyone to talk to about this topic. You can always reach out to me as well, and I'll give you the proper channels to do that. As a Baltimore Ravens fan, seeing last year that Hayden Hurst, a tight end for the Ravens last year, now plays for the Atlanta Falcons. He used to be a pitcher in baseball in college, and just all of a sudden one day woke up and lost a lot of his confidence, and for no real reason. But he's a pitcher and an elite level pitcher, being drafted into Major League Baseball, you know, and all of a sudden he can't hit a strike zone. And having no rhyme or reason for it. And he's openly talked about waking up in the hospital and having no idea how he got there or why he was there. And a friend that was there with him had to fill Hayden himself in on the fact that Hayden had gotten drunk the night before and gone home or to his dorm, and had slit his wrists. And his friend had come in and found Hayden in a pool of his own blood, and immediately called 911 and got him the help he needed. But now you can see Hayden and how open he is and how amazing he is within the mental health community, to be an advocate for those who are struggling, and to bring awareness to those who don't, and honestly bring awareness to those who are of where to reach out, because again, we all struggle with certain things, and a lot of us don't realize that in the mental health side of things, that we have people to reach out to, that we have role models above us in leading the way, people who have been there, people who have gone through this before us. It's not going to be the exact same battle. It's not going to be the exact same thing that helps you get through it. But there's someone who understands that life can suck, and it will get better, and this is how I got through it. Maybe just having someone to talk to is all you need. Getting it off your chest, and having that person that you can confide in. That's amazing. Maybe sometimes it's medication. And I've known people who've always had the stigma as well against medication for it. And for me personally, I'm a diabetic. And so the thing to me would be like, well, you're a diabetic, your pancreas should just work. Well, it doesn't. Okay, well then, how are you surviving? Well, I give myself insulin. When I went through depression, when I went through anxiety, I was on medication as well. And I was like, I don't like to take things or put things in my body that I don't need to, but at the same time, something was wrong. And I had this opportunity to take something to help me get my feet under me so that I could, survive. It's no different between my insulin for myself, my diabetes, or something to help my brain chemistry that was very clearly wrong. And I look at the wrestling community as well. Kurt Angle has openly talked about his battle with depression as well. Here's a former Olympic gold medalist for the U.S. and in wrestling, and he goes into the WWF at the time, and then he instantly becomes this star, and he'll openly talk about the fact that he didn't even know what he was doing at this point, but he was still being one of the best guys in the company, and he was still so fresh. He didn't understand why something was going to work, but someone would convince him to do it, and he'd do it, and it would work, and all of a sudden you become great. And then when he started to get hurt and started to have years and years and years of damage done to his neck, and all of a sudden he couldn't do a lot of the things that he wanted to do. He was feeling pain every night, and then getting more and more into the pain medication. And his personal life was starting to dissolve because of a lot of the choices he was making to deal with that. And when you can get into that, when you can get into that spiral, and you always know that there's someone somewhere who's going to be willing to listen. And for me, it's also nice to know that, if you feel like there's nobody, you can pay someone to do it. It quite honestly, not to make light of it, but there are people that are professionals that can help you. And please, if you feel that there's nobody that is in your personal life that you can talk to about this, that you may not even understand entirely how you feel yourself, please reach out to someone who's in a professional manner that you can talk to. And I'm going to be completely honest as well. If you go into a meeting with a professional and it doesn't feel right for you, that you don't feel like you can openly talk to this person, go to someone else. Don't give up. Don't stop talking, and don't shut down, because it's going to be a relationship. It's going to be someone that you have to be able to trust. And if you walk in and you don't feel comfortable, it's not going to be the right spot for you. And that's okay. It's not anything to do with them. It's not anything to do with you. But you need to be able to have that conversation. You need to feel open. And it's okay to say, you know what, I think I need to talk to somebody else. Is there someone else I can talk to? I think one of the more surprising examples of depression would be Dwayne Johnson or The Rock. You look at him now and you see the most confident, you see the most charismatic man probably on the face of the planet. And if you look back into his actual story, his upbringing, and the things that he is openly talking about, and has continuously even brought up on social media, he didn't come from where he is now. He didn't always have the $1 million to fall back on. He didn't have the house, the cars, everything. He's talked about playing college football and then going to the CFL and getting released from the CFL, and having $7 to his name and not knowing where to go or where to be, and starting back into the WWF at the time. And even then, things didn't immediately start to click for him. Things didn't immediately start to get better. He found some friends and found some people that supported him, and he was able to find his path and find his way. And very obviously, you see where he's at now. But through that and through all of his struggles, of course, you're going to have anxiety. You're going to have depression. You're going to have days or weeks or months or longer where you're just basically trying to pick yourself out of bed that day and find a way to survive, find a way to keep going. And trust me, I know, I've been there. It's by no means am I trying to say I know what you're going through, and I never would try to say that I understand where you're at. But I do know that life can be better, and daily I struggle with anxiety, and sometimes it takes everything I have to be able to roll out of bed and go to work and, do the things that I need to do that are my responsibilities. I understand that, but there's always something better out there. There's always something to help. There's always someone willing to listen. And like I said, even if you have to pay someone for that, that's why they're there. They have these options open, and if you got to call somebody, if you got to call a helpline, please do so, because this is the hardest thing that I can think of going through. The mental aspects of living. You don't need to have had a trauma. You don't need to have been through something that forced you to start being this way. You don't need to have a reason for it. But if you're feeling this way, please find a way to talk about it, to start trying to heal yourself, because this is a sickness. It can be debilitating, and like I said, it is the hardest thing that you can go through. And please, again, look at these people that I've mentioned in this video, and these are the people that we've wanted to look up to our whole lives. This is why I talk about these people. It's sports, it's wrestling, it's entertainment. It's something that can actually help me. It takes my mind off of what real life is going on. That's how I got into wrestling in the first place. Having 2 hours on a night to take my brain off of whatever's going on. They are great outlets. That's why we look at these people. But at the same point, as a kid, why we look up to a hockey player is we wanted to be them. And you see examples of people who were there and have struggled even while doing exactly what they wanted to do their whole entire life, and they still are struggling. And please, just hit me right now too, just thinking of Rick Rippon, the former Vancouver Canuck, who took his own life. And the amount of people who cared for him and tried their absolute best to help him. And, he wasn't able to see it at the right time. And please, if you are struggling, reach out to somebody who can help. Again, this isn't the video that I had planned today. I don't generally talk about myself as much as I have tonight in these videos. But again, when it's something that is this important, and when it's something that is so real to me as well, I just want to be there for you. And again, I hope that you can see that there are people who care about you, and that there are bigger and better things to come. I love you guys. Have a good night.